All right, what happens after 1 year? Well, you can opt to renew into the indexed account or the fixed account, or you can allocate your funds between the two accounts. So up to you, lots of flexibility. You decide how you want to apportion your funds between the fixed and the indexed options. How is this annuity done historically? Well, let me show you a historical return spreadsheet that shows exactly how this indexed annuity would have done over several 5-year periods. All right, so let's assume you put $100,000 into this indexed annuity. Let's assume the cap remains constant at 8 1/4 for 5 years, and let's assume an upfront bonus of 3%. The critical column here is the one entitled Value After 5 Years. What I wanted to see was how this annuity would have performed under various 5-year periods. So let's assume at the end of 1989, I put $100,000 into this indexed annuity. Let's assume the caps remain constant at 8 1/4, and let's assume I let my money accrue for 5 years without taking any withdrawals. Well, had I done that, my $100,000 deposit would have grown to $124,693. All right, so much for that 5-year period. How about if I put a new $100,000 in at the end of 1990? What would it have grown to by the end of 95? Well, given the same assumptions, 100 would have grown to 134,980. So you're probably beginning to see the pattern. Every number in this rectangle is what 100,000 would have grown to over a 5-year period. And the results in the rectangle shows you all the 5-year period results. Now, what would be interesting to me is to look at the best 5-year period and the worst 5-year period. Note, the worst 5-year period, 100 grew to 120,696. The best, 100,000 grew to 153,101. Now, I summarized the numbers here below. The worst annuity gain would have been a 20,696 gain. The best gain would have been 53,000 and change. This represents a 4.14% simple interest yield to a 10.62% simple interest yield. If history is any indication of the future, one would see that the ranges in the past have been between 4 and 10%. Furthermore, let me point out that the average was 6.6%. With 5-year CDs hovering around 3%, 6.6% is impressive. Furthermore, with this indexed annuity, you do have ample liquidity. All right, let me go ahead and point out some other numbers which I think are fascinating. Let's look at the dichotomy of one of the bad 5-year periods. Let's look at from 99 to 2004. How did we make 120,000? Well, at the end of 1999, the S&P 500 was at 1469. At the end of 2004, the S&P was at 1212. That's a loss, and it's about a loss of 20%. But yet our indexed annuity went up 20%. Why is that the case? Well, here's exactly what happened. Of the 5-year period, you had 3 losing periods, or 3 periods when the S&P went down. During those 3 periods, you would have gotten 0 credited to your account. The other 2 periods were gains, and you would have made 8 1/4. So if you have 2 periods making 8 1/4, and you got an upfront bonus of 3%, with compounding, your 100,000 would have grown to 120,696. Even when the market went down, which is pretty rare over a 5-year period, this indexed annuity was able to eke out somewhat attractive gains. Okay, in summary, what we have is an indexed annuity that has an attractive fixed account. If you put all your money in the fixed side, you'd make about 4%, 4 1/4 over the 5-year period. If you put your money in the indexed account, you'd expect to make somewhere between 4 and 10%, with an average of 6.6%, at least if history is any indication of the future. We think today, as a safe alternative, these indexed annuities are extremely attractive. They provide decent liquidity. Next step is to talk to your representative about the product, the company backing this product, and any other questions you might have. Thank you so much for joining me for this conversation. We hope it was helpful.